just going to hit record.
Yeah.
Something fast, a checklist, a roadmap, a template, something that they can do quickly, and then you can get that on your website. You can start promoting it, and then you don't have, you might be 2 weeks away from having your quiz up and running properly.
Yeah.
So don't wait. Because once you've got your quiz done, then you got to have the welcome email. You've got to have the response that you send them. Then, you want to make the end of the quiz, you want to make it as useful as possible as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do a quick PDF, be done with it, and then do the quiz. And then that way it gives you time to kind of have some people go in and try the quiz, and you make sure that you're comfortable with it too.
Okay, well, that's a good idea.
Okay. Do you have ideas for a quick PDF that you can do?
Yeah, because I have the questions. I've written all the questions. I just don't have the responses. So maybe what I'll do is just sort of quickly throw it together and just do a really simple scoring, spend an hour and just sort of finish it up and then post it. Because the questions I've already done. So just a matter of putting the sort of scores and responses, but a lot of them are just yes, no, and maybe 3 choices.
Okay.
So I can do that quite quickly.
Good.
So yeah.
Okay. And a good title for it as well, so that it makes it something that's attractive to people. Mm-hmm. The title, you want the title to be something that piques their interest. Mm-hmm. It might be a little bit fun. It's something, 5 secrets, 3 tips, something that lets them know the solution that they'll get. And actually the title should answer a problem that they have. For me, because a lot of my clients they're new coaches and they don't know where to start and they're wondering what for a niche. So 147 proven niches. Mm-hmm. It says, I'm wondering what I should have for a niche, and it answers that really quickly and really easily.
Okay.
So if you're kind of thinking about titles, you could even send me an email if you want with a few titles, and I can respond to you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And then the other part as well is that once you've got the pop-up on your website with the PDF, you've worked through that, those logistics. Once you've done those logistics once, you can do them over and over again. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just a little fiddly getting it the first few times.
Yeah. It's sort of especially because I'm not really a coder by any means, and so I'm sort of learning as I'm going. So it's quite the adventure. Yeah, for sure. Let's just spend a couple of minutes. I want to look again at that list of questions. I have some thoughts on some of the things. Okay.
Some of them I'll be answering today, but I had this worry that we're going to get to 10:30 and I won't have responded to any of your questions. So I just want to make sure that I've done at least some. Okay. So one of the questions that you had for me was around SEO. Mm-hmm. And I am not an SEO expert either. So the question sounded like, what's been my experience with improving SEO? Mm-hmm. So start with, do you know anything about SEO?
No.
Okay. So the quickest way, sorry, just a sec. Mm-hmm. It's unusual. Okay. That app that I showed you about, Keywords Everywhere.
Yeah.
Use that a little bit and find yourself something they call a long tail keyword. So here's what an example is. So life coach, if I type in life coach into Google, it will bring me millions and millions and millions of responses. If I type life coach Vancouver, BC, now I'm getting to be a much tighter response.
Yep.
So it's very difficult to rank for those very general things like life coach or personal development coach. But you could think about ranking for something that is more like a question that somebody would type into Google. How to become a life coach. Now that's something that would be called a long tail keyword, which people are actually looking for a real answer to a question. They're actually closer to a decision. If they're saying how to become a life coach, they're thinking already about becoming one. So they're actually at that point in the journey where they're looking for specific information to solve their problem. So I would look for something quite specific, using that keywords everywhere. The other place that you can go, which is a great search tool, is Pinterest. So if you go onto Pinterest, give me an example of a couple of, let me share my screen with you to begin with. But give me an example of a couple of, like, how do you think somebody might type in when they're looking for your services? What do you think they might type in?
They might type in feeling like stuck in a rut, overwhelmed.
Okay. So let's look here. Let's just type overwhelmed. And so this is the first place that I would start looking for potential keyword phrases that I might like to try ranking for. So overwhelmed by life might be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
So Google and Pinterest do exactly the same thing. YouTube also does the same thing, where they'll say, oh, you're typing in overwhelmed. Here are some things that we know people will search for. So let's just type in overwhelmed and see, like, way too many responses. And somebody looking for a solution is not going to type that in. But this keywords everywhere tool, now this is giving you some ideas. Overwhelmed with joy. I wouldn't have thought of that. I am overwhelmed. Now you're getting down to a volume that is of the number of searches per month that is more reasonable and is closer to something that somebody might type in. So look at this. I am overwhelmed. So all of these, as soon as you get a little bit of a longer phrase, that's called a long tail keyword. So something like I am overwhelmed, I would look at something like that. So when you are looking on your website, it takes quite a bit of effort and a long amount of patience to start ranking. For you, I would find yourself 3 or 4 phrases, long tail keywords that somebody might type in, and you make sure that they are in the body of your content on your page, on your web page. And I would write a couple of blog posts where you use those exact phrases early in the text, not in a really rigid way, but in a very conversational way.
Okay.
One of the guys that I follow for SEO is Neil Patel. He's one of the biggest, most popular guys right now. And I've also, because I have quite a bit of content already on my website, and I've done a little bit of my own helping myself with my SEO. And I'm actually on the top page for a couple of weird topics. Vision boarding. I wrote an article, I posted it, and for some reason it's really come up well. So I'm on the front page of Google for, I think it is 5 or 6 of the things from that article.
Interesting.
Right? Like weird. So how I did that is I did this. I looked at related keywords, and then when I wrote my article around vision board, I made sure, like, assuming this is it here, I made sure that I said, oh, here's a quote about I am overwhelmed, or I am so overwhelmed. I just included that very conversationally in my blog post that I wrote. And it worked. Okay. Also, it's a very complicated topic.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have that keyword, that long tail keyword, in the title of your blog post as well. So what Google is looking for is conversationally interesting, helpful information that would do a good job of answering that. How do I get unstuck, for instance, in life? How do I get unstuck? So I would find a couple of sort of longer phrases, include that in the title, include it conversationally in the article, and write a nice, helpful article. Okay.
Okay.
This is actually a pretty good keyword right here. This keyword phrase, how do I get unstuck? I think it's actually pretty good. The search volume is tiny, but if you can find one of these phrases that has between 500 to 1,000 searches per month, you're going to get a much better chance of starting to show up a little bit higher in the search rankings. Okay. So how to get unstuck. Let's try that. And notice the difference between how do I get unstuck, which was 30 searches per month, or how to get unstuck. Here we go. How to get unstuck in life, 390. That could be, let's see what how to get unstuck comes up as. 880. So there's 2 for you that you could use right then.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense.
All right. Good. It's a start. Neil Patel, he puts out short little videos, very, very sensible videos. And if you feel so moved, I would start doing a little tiny bit of SEO right at the beginning, and don't expect that you're going to get any payoff from it for months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Okay. So that's just a little bit of something.
No, that's good.
Can you tell me about your journey about getting/working with international clients? It wasn't intentional. When I was first starting out as a coach, I got referred to 2 people in the States. And they also referred me to their friends and coworkers. And so it was about as scientific as that. And the other thing is that I'm really big about volunteering with coaching. And I found this organization that I absolutely flip and love. Actually, there's 2 that I love, one that I don't do much with anymore. And it's called the Humanitarian Coaching Network. They do pro bono coaching engagements with a lot of UN staff.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, it's so interesting. I have coached some real interesting senior leaders in Brussels, in New York, in Uganda, in Kenya. And the amount of passion that I have for coaching people that are doing NGO work in really important areas, in real tangible ways, it really opened my eyes a lot to just my love of different culture and what it's like to work in a different country and what's the protocol. So that was it's called the HCN Humanitarian Coaching Network. The guy who started it, his name is Jason Ighani, Ighani. You might want to have a look if that's the kind of thing that interests you. Some of those people did become paying clients for me. it's not what the reason that I did it to begin with. I did it because I loved it. And I have to, this woman gave me permission to say this, but I absolutely love this. One of my very first experiences with it, I was emailing this woman that was assigned to me as a coach. And I think I had 6 coaching hours that we were going to do. And I emailed her and she didn't respond. And then I emailed her again and she didn't respond, and again and again. And I'm like, what is going on here? How incredibly rude. So this was like a great view into my brain, my mindset. How dare she? How incredibly rude, blah, blah, blah. And then about 3 weeks later, I got an email back from her with an apology. And what she said was, oh, I'm so sorry that I didn't get back to you. I have been working in the remote area of the Himalayas, and there's no internet there, so I never saw your messages. So, like, what a great learning thing for me, that my whole thing was about, you know, how rude, blah, 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 how dare she. And I have never experienced coaching somebody who would leave her family in Pakistan, and then her, and I've gotten her permission to share this because I just love this from a perspective of your personal growth as a coach, as well as the wonderful people you get to work with. Her job was, she was overseeing the development of water wells, sanitation plants through an NGO in the remote area of the Himalayas. Okay. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, I mean, she was a pleasure to coach, but I learned so much. And then I got another interesting client and another interesting client and another, lots of them pro bono. And then some of them became paying clients. And some of them would refer people to me. So super interesting. Plus, I also got some complimentary training on executive coaching because of the volunteer work. I mean, it was just great stuff. So interesting. Yeah. So that's some of my international, how I got there. Most of my clients still come from referrals. So if I got some referrals of people in an area, then they'll refer me to their family or their friends or their coworkers. And a lot of the people that I work with travel quite a bit for business as well. Okay. And then the last one, let me just touch on that briefly. Beginning of my coaching business. So I think I've told you my sort of how come I came to become a coach. The beginning of my coaching business was very, very uncomfortable. I was entering certification. I needed to have 5 paying clients to be in certification. They give you a month to get all 5, and you have obviously the time before that. And the end of that first month came, and I didn't have 1 client. So I had a very, very uncomfortable conversation with them, and they said, okay, we'll give you another 30 days grace, but if you don't have 5 documented clients that we can prove, you'll have to come back later. And that, I had done a whole bunch of the right stuff, but my head wasn't the right spot. And that's one of the reasons that I'm so big on mindset. When you are committed and you know and you have faith that this is the right thing for you, then it works. So this is, again, this is just, you know, my own personal experience with do all the right things, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and nothing. But when I committed, I was like so frustrated because I knew I was meant to be a coach. The difference between knowing you are meant to be a coach and wanting to be of service to your clients and committing to show up to be their coach, to be there and know that they're coming. I literally, within, I think it was 10 days, I had 5 paying clients like that. They came out of nowhere. Actually, even now, I can't quite figure it out how it happened. It was fully committing. And who did I have in my corner? My husband was super supportive because he hated seeing me at my old day job. It was like crazy pants time. My mom is also very supportive. I had a lot of people who thought that it was a great idea, but they really didn't think it was a good idea for me to become a fully self-employed coach. So they thought it was lovely as long as I kept my day job with the benefits and the bonuses and the title.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that.
Right. And they're still not so sure sometimes because they don't quite understand what I do. So even though I explain it, it just doesn't make sense to them. So hopefully that answers some of your questions.
That's good.
Okay. And then we'll dive into the slide deck. So today we're going to talk about organizing, essentially, and client onboarding. Okay. So let's go. So I think it's 4 sort of separate sections. So we'll start on the organizing side, and then we'll go into the client onboarding. Some of this will move pretty quick, especially because there's not a lot of mindset talk to it. So if you got questions, something doesn't make sense, you let me know. Okay. So this is important. The quicker you get organized, the better.
Yeah.
She says,
I'm not organized. I know. I don't feel organized.
It's not you. It's just that once you start getting into it and you're coaching a little bit and you're getting sample sessions and you're doing this and you're doing that, it is a waste of your energy to not be organized. And no matter knowing all the right things to do to building a coaching practice, it still will, you still have to be very conscious of your life. You know, so if you think of the wheel of life and you do the wheel of life on yourself, you still need to have the kind of wheel of life that's important to you. And it is really easy to be disorganized and to have the friends and family, fun and recreation, that whole area shrink. You know, like instead of going to the gym, instead of going for a walk, instead of eating healthily, to find that all of a sudden you're just so consumed with, you know, doing all the things that need to be done to start and grow your business. So getting organized means that you're leaving yourself energy and time to stay whole. You can't be a great coach if you're not taking care of yourself. Cheryl Richardson, who is one of my all-time favorite coaches, her whole thing every year for all the years that I followed her is, what if your only resolution is that you loved yourself more? Right? And loving yourself more means treating yourself with respect. Treating yourself with your time as important. And that's why, okay? Starting early makes it easier. Being organized means less time paper shuffling, looking for things, thinking, I'm sure I have that somewhere. Where is that thing? And then not being able to find it, or realizing that you threw it out and it was an important note. And it's because you want to keep whatever is the right balance for you. Keeping your life balance, keeping your wheel of life. So if you were to do your own wheel of life once a month, how happy are you with your wheel of life? How satisfied are you with your life? Very easy to become a slave to your business instead of the other way around. Your business is here to serve you and to serve the world and impact your clients. So there's this question about what kind of a boss are you to yourself? Would you like working with a boss like you? And I have my personal thing is, this is something that I always struggle with because I am a hard driver. And if anybody worked for me the way that I expect myself to work, they would be the ones that are swearing about me behind my back.
Funny.
And oftentimes looking for a better opportunity. So that's something that, that's why I asked that question, because lots of times the things I got to teach are the things that I have to learn too.
Yeah. No, I can see. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. So make sure you keep your life whole, and organizing is a good part of it. Let me just make sure that I'm sharing the right screen. Okay. So when you think about organized, I've got 4 little situations, and you'll know that you're organized if you're happy with your answer. So the first situation, you've just signed your new client. It's time to celebrate. So how long will it take to get them set up? Set up a time for their first call, send an invoice, their welcome package. How quick and easy is that for you?
Yeah, not. It's not.
When you're organized, you'll say, no problem, I got it. And I've got a sort of a process that you can follow to make it easy so you don't have to figure it out for yourself. But you want to be able to say, yeah, no problem, 5 minutes, done. Second situation, you just got a phone call, and this happens. You got a phone call from a past client. Maybe you worked with them a couple of years ago, and she wants to refer her friend to you. You only coached her for a little while, and you kind of thought that she went away because she got scared and didn't want to grow anymore. Like, people do that. They get to a point where they get scared and then they freak out and then they kind of fade away. And you didn't think much about it. And you thought, okay, well, we'll just release her. And when she's ready to come back, if she is, she can. And then she phones you and says, it was life-changing, that coaching, and I want to refer my friend. And you don't remember much about her. How fast can you find her details so that you can actually talk to her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Okay. Next, 5 situations. It's tax time. How do you get all your financial records to give to your accountant? How do you keep that accountant bill low because you're organized and you've given them exactly what they need and the way they need it? Right? You realize the importance of staying in touch with past clients. How easy is it for you to regularly send follow-up emails? Just touching base, somebody's gone back to school. How's it going in school? Those things, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the next one. You did a presentation. This is going to be you. You gave a talk. How long will it take to find your slide deck and the list of people that you met that night a month from now?
Yeah. I can see why this is important. Yeah.
Right? The non-sexy side of not wanting to go, oh my God, now I know I had a stack of business cards. What did I do with that? Oh, I hope they're not still in my car, right? So, places to organize. Your onboarding forms and your welcome package, your client and potential client contact information, your financial records, and your calendar and your schedule. So those are, as it goes. If you set yourself up ready to roll, it's going to save you so much time. And that's time that you can be talking to other clients or doing more sample sessions or creating an awesome speech, for your local networking group or whatever. So we'll talk about the forms and welcome package later, and client potential contact information. We'll talk about that later. But briefly, we spoke about business finances a while ago, but this is in the vein of you creating your job description if you were an employee of your company. Every month, have a little appointment with yourself that you make sure your financials are all together. You might want to make it like the 5th of, January 5th for the month of December, that kind of thing. Give yourself an hour. Probably won't take that long, especially once you're used to doing it. And make sure you've gathered these things together. If you're a paper person, gather them together in paper. If you're electronic, gather them together electronically. Hey, hon. Anyway. See you later. Yeah, I'll be another hour and a bit. So one file for the month, paper file or file on your computer. You want a copy of your bank statement, copy of your credit card statement for your business accounts, PayPal statements if you're using PayPal, scanned copies of original receipts, and you also want to keep the paper copies of original receipts and invoices.
Okay.
So you would have a file for December, and in there you're going to have a bunch of PDFs. You want to name those files appropriately. Bank statement, December 2018. Credit card statement, December 2018. Invoice number 2018-01, 02, 03, 04, whatever your invoice number is. Okay. And you play this matching game. So if you're not very familiar with bookkeeping, bookkeeping is all about making sure that you can prove everything reasonably. So if you've got a bank statement and you have on there 5 expenses, I paid for my website domain, I paid for my something, expense number 2, expense number 3. You can see it on your bank statement. Do I actually have the receipt that goes with that? That may be printing off the PDF receipt that you got by email. Okay, but make sure that if you have 5 expenses, you have 5 receipts. Now, some things you may not actually really have the kind of receipt that you would like to have, but you can write yourself a little note that says $250 for, I don't know, I donated an hour's coaching as a door prize or something, something like that, right? Make sure that you have those. If you've got 5, you want 5 receipts. Same thing for your credit card statement. Ongoing, regular, recurring payments that might come out of your credit card statement. This is your business stuff only. So for instance, for me, I have a monthly subscription that I pay for a product called Lead Pages, which is how I do my email conversion. So every month I have a charge for Lead Pages. Do I have the receipt? I make sure that I'm organized. Do the same thing with your invoices for your clients. Maybe you had 3 invoices, you sold 3 packages this month, and you can see the 3 payments on your bank account. Make sure you've got your 3 invoices. Okay. This way, if you do this every month, at the end of the year, when it's, like you think of January 2018, you had a file folder that you created. So next year, when your accountant is doing your income tax, probably somewhere around February, you want to hand your accountant all your financial records. You are not going to remember what you did in January 2018 when you're February 2019 and you're handing it to your accountant. But if you are February 2019 and you've got those individual files, all you got to do is bundle them up and hand them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. The good thing about doing this, you don't lose out on any write-offs. Like if you're in one of the higher tax brackets, every $100 that you spend on your business means that you will not have to submit $30 to $40 in income tax.
Yeah.
A big deal. So you've got your files together. If you're using an online accounting software, do your monthly bookkeeping. you're only looking at maybe 3 or 5 invoices and 5 or 10 expenses. It takes nothing to enter them, right? And it's all done. So set that appointment with yourself. I would recommend that you block off 1 hour for the next 6 months. So right now you could block off within the next week an hour to do your December 2018 stuff. Block off, January, February through to June. You'll start to have laid a habit by that point. I still toy with this. Do you do annual goals or do you do quarterly goals? And I lean more towards having an annual vision and doing quarterly goals because life changes and your desire changes.
Yeah.
So for your financials and your bookkeeping, same thing. It's really hard to set an appointment with yourself for an entire 12 months and to really have it feel real. But if you do 3 months or 6 months, then you'll start to lay some groundwork and then you'll go, okay, you know what? An hour is way too much. I only need half an hour.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So that is the financial part of staying organized. Your online booking system, we've already talked about this. I think you're good with that, right? Okay. So you know how, you know why, all of that stuff. We're not going to go in there. The other thing is a reminder. I gave you this little tip a while ago about putting something like this in your email signature, but also put it in your social media profile. So your link tree, you could have one thing right there.
Okay.
And something that I'm just commenting to you, I have always offered complimentary first calls for people that might be interested. And just to let you know, I am changing that. And I'm just giving you input because that way, as time goes on, you'll come into your own way of doing things. I will still be offering complimentary calls, but I've found that a number of people that sign up for a complimentary call don't show up. Well,
interesting.
They have no skin in the game. So I will still offer a complimentary call, but I'm going to do it with a $25 deposit that is, they can apply to their coaching package. Otherwise, it's just because of the international coaching. I coach a lot of people at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
I have a complimentary clarity call set up for 6 a.m. I'm up. I'm ready. I don't want to be stood up. My time is not worth it. So I'm just kind of giving you some thoughts about that. Okay. So you'll see that if you ever go and look at my website or whatever, you're going to see that change in the next little while.
Interesting.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit now about client onboarding. So any thoughts, questions about the financial stuff before we move into the client onboarding part?
No, that should be good. I haven't really tackled this yet. So this is sort of the next step for me to sort of figure out how I want to organize things. That's good. Okay.
Monthly files is the way to do it. And honestly, I'm a paper person because that way I know that I can, for a bunch of reasons. I'm always, I like paper because I don't have to turn my computer on to look at it. There's one thing. I find that I'll get distracted sometimes if I'm working on my bookkeeping and I go back to have to look on my computer again. The other thing is because for years I worked small business accounting. And so I'm used to doing small business books. And so I got into the groove of doing paper. And so I just do paper. So
okay.
No other reason. Honestly, I would recommend doing online if you can. Scanning, taking photos of everything. Take a photo of all of those receipts, file them.
Okay.
So what we're going to talk about when we're talking about client onboarding is how do you welcome a new client, forms and paperwork, and what order to send everything and why. And I know we've talked about the order, but it's here again because it sort of forms part of this package as well. So this is good, right? Like you're doing this because you've got a new client. And you want every step of that journey with that new client to be designed, like the way you want their experience to be. Okay. So remember one of those organizing questions, if you got a new client, how easy is it? So easy for you and easy for them. You want a repeatable process. Have your templates ready to go at a moment's notice. Do you have a copy of all these templates now?
Which template? Sorry.
I think I haven't given them to you yet.
No, not yet. No.
Okay, so that they'll be coming with today's recording. It's a zip file. There's a bunch of formatted ones, and then there's also blank ones, so you can brand them yourself.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So here's the list of what you're getting. Coaching agreement. You're going to go in and change it as you choose, but this one works with the ICF guidelines and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Invoice template. If you decided just for now, I'm going to do paper invoices and be done with it. Pre-coaching questionnaire, client welcome letter, something that I call a coaching session prep form. And that gives somebody, and we'll go through this, a way to focus their thoughts before their next coaching call. A client goal sheet and a client information sheet. Okay. So you'll get all of these, but let's talk a little bit about how to organize them. So this is what I do. I make myself on my desktop, because I'm a person that I like folders on my computer desktop. And in that folder, I have all of these files ready to go. So when a new client comes up, I just grab the one that I need and I email it to them. It's easy. And you can even number them if you so choose. So you go, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So a welcome letter looks something like this. It's just saying, I'm looking forward to coaching with you. Here's what to expect. What they need to do to prepare for their first coaching call, so that they feel that they're kind of, they're not kind of flailing around, like they've signed up for something, but they're not quite sure now what to do. What I would like from them before their first coaching call. So I want their coaching questionnaire. I want a copy of their signed coaching agreement, and I want their client information sheet. That's their name and phone number and that kind of stuff. Okay. And I'd like to, in this letter as well, I tell them kind of what coaching, even though I've told them what coaching is, now they're going to really get into it. And so they're nervous. So I expect them that I'm not doing this for them. I expect that sometimes they're going to feel a little uncomfortable. So I say it. I don't want them to be surprised. I know that they're going to get results from their coaching when they do their work. So it's up to them to be responsible. And so I hold them responsible, and I voice that in this letter. And that they're expecting to take action after each coaching call. This isn't a time for us to just to have a fun conversation and then nothing changes. The improvement happens in the actions that they take between the calls. So I tell them, this is what is going to come. You know, this is what you need to do to make the progress that you would like to make. And as your coach, this is how I am going to hold you. And the reason I'm really clear about this is that a coaching relationship is so different than any relationship they have ever experienced. How many conversations do you have where somebody really just listens to you where you're at and they don't try and fix you?
0.
Right?
0.
They
Yeah.
don't give advice. They don't tell you you're crazy. They don't say, well, I remember, you know, like they don't bring your history. I remember when you did that when you were 15, right? So I want them to know this is a really different kind of relationship. It's going to give them structure, and it's going to ask them to get a little bit uncomfortable so that they can make that growth. They know that I will be an objective listener and that I will tell the truth. If I'm hearing something, then I'm going to tell them what I'm hearing. You know, it sounds like blah, blah, blah. It sounds like, you know, some people say they want to make change, but they're really not willing to try something uncomfortable. Right? So I want them to know what they're getting into. in the service of their growth and the service of helping them to feel as comfortable as they can be as they become uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Invoice template looks something like this.
Okay.
Okay. This is just a little bit more. You've seen this before. Sometimes it takes a couple of times. QuickBooks is a great way. PayPal is a great way. You can use a Word document as well. Your choice. Okay. This is the client information sheet. First name, last name, birthday, email, and mailing address.
Mm-hmm. What do you use this for, Candy?
So I use this for my email list.
Okay.
Okay. I use it in case somebody is like when I used to do Skype more than I do now. Mm-hmm. But so sometimes I might want to reach out to them and send them a little note. Mm-hmm. Mailing address. Sometimes I would mail Christmas cards or a birthday card or a congratulations card.
Okay.
So when you think about any service-based business, and we'll talk a little bit about this more the next time we speak, mm-hmm. But the more that you can show up for your clients, even when they're not coaching.
Yeah. Like that.
Like the perfect thing is they got accepted to grad school, or they've graduated finally, or they finally, or you can see how much they've grown, and you just want to send them like a card that just says, "Oh my God, I'm just so thrilled for you. Mm-hmm. You finally quit that job that you hated." Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
So this is a pre-coaching questionnaire. It is probably word for word what you did originally.
Yeah, probably. I don't remember, but I do remember doing a questionnaire.
Yeah. And, this, you can take it and use it, or you can just use parts of it. Mm-hmm. Your choice. The purpose of this is to get them reflective and to give us something to talk about in our first few sessions together, because people aren't used to are coming to a coaching call with a topic.
Yeah.
It also helps them to realize how much they already know, how much they already that they understand about themselves, and it gives a great baseline for where they're starting. So, you could go back and look at yours, and you're going to be amazed by the places that you've changed.
Yeah, I actually want to dig it up.
I forgot that I knew that about myself, right?
Yeah.
Yes, she's all tucked in.
Like a little baby.
She is, isn't she? That's not her regular leash. Her regular leash is. Oh,
trade them.
Okay. Oh yeah, of course.
Oh.
So it's got lots of use, and I have a real. I think that as clients graduate from coaching, I want them to understand what it's like to answer questions for themselves. Where do I get, on the, the top page here, when do you get stuck? I mean, as they're journaling, where are the places that I get stuck? To start using this as a prompt for them to go, to reflect and to coach themselves, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the purpose of the questionnaire. The coaching agreement, you'll get a copy of this, but this is just literally something that you can use. You can modify it your own way. There's nothing super fancy about this other than I want them to know that it is not therapy, that it will be confidential unless somebody's being hurt or they've broken the law. I want them to there's something about signing an agreement that you've read that sort of adds commitment. It also tells them what will happen if they're continually late to a call or if they are a no-show.
Okay.
And I do this from a boundary standpoint because I want them to show up fully to their coaching calls. Some people they get scared and they just won't show, and then they get scared from not showing, and then they won't show up again. And people are, like we're wired for security, right?
Yeah.
And there's going to come a time where you'll think that client is doing great and they'll have freaked out. And, this helps them to know that it's not okay to just not show up. If they're not able to make it, they need to email. They need to, communicate with you just as you would communicate with them.
Yep.
And if you have a client who is often late for a call, it's a great coaching topic. Like, where else are you late in your life? Where else are you not committed to your own growth?
Yeah.
Where else, how do you treat other relationships with people? I've had some people who are habitually late, and I just had to shorten their coaching calls. And it's pretty painful if they've signed up for a 30-minute session and they're 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. Some thoughts. Okay. So coaching agreement, it's quite long, but you're going to take it and do what you will with it.
Okay.
Okay. Client goals. This is not something that you and I did together. I do this more with those really analytical people. Like, what is a goal to work on for this coaching engagement? And where I use it is I help them to understand more about the evolved SMART goals that we spoke about. What is it like to not just choose goals that are check the box, bland? What about choosing goals that are inspiring? And the bottom of this client goal sheet, this is probably for me the biggest thing, is that their current rating, how do they feel out of a scale of 0 to 10 right now? And where do they want to get to? Notice that it's not saying that they're going to be perfect with this goal. Is it a goal to just go from a 2 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10? Is that fine? And then with those super analytical people, I will, once every 2 or 3 calls, I'll say, oh, let's have a quick look at your goals. Okay, how are you feeling out of 10 right now? Have you gone from 2 out of 10 to now you're at 4 out of 10? Or are you at 5 out of 10? Guess what? You've achieved that goal. So I use that as a continual touch point place.
That's smart.
And then this is the coaching session prep form. Some people use this, some people don't. They fill it out. Take 5 minutes and fill it out before the call and send it to me. This is a great way to train people. And I use this training because it's all about building habits. People who never appreciate what they've done. The first question is, what have I accomplished since our last session? People say, I haven't really done anything. And then, but if they have to write it down, they'll go, well, wait a minute. I did this and I did that. And they'll start to realize, and you get, 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 of these coaching session prep forms. And that is a body of knowledge of the places that they have grown and what they've accomplished. It's a super big boost for self-esteem and confidence. And then the next question, what I wanted to get done, but I didn't. That is a place where they can learn, you know what? Every time I commit to doing, every time I commit to making an uncomfortable phone call, that's the thing that I didn't get done. Right? And what do you want to use this coaching session for? Okay. So it gets them really zeroed in on the topic. Often what happens, and I love this about this form, it's kind of a funny little thing. They'll do the form maybe that night and send it to me for the next morning coaching session. I open it up and I have a peek at it before we jump onto Zoom. And they'll come onto Zoom and they'll say, it's the funniest thing. But the thing that I wanted to use this coaching session for, I've already resolved that. They already figured out how to solve their own problem. And now they want to talk about something different. Which is exactly what we want, right? Train people to recognize their accomplishments, feel good about themselves, rely on their own resourcefulness, identify their challenges or their patterns where things don't work well, and learn how to change their perspective and take new action. So this coaching session prep form is actually a coaching session in disguise.
Interesting.
Some people refuse to do this, and that is their business, right? Different personalities. People don't like to write things down. They don't like to be pinned down.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this, but here it is again about what do you send and when do you send it, okay? So when somebody signs up for you for coaching, you send them the welcome letter, your welcome letter, and your invoice. As soon as they've paid you, they get your online scheduler and they can book their session. You don't want to be coaching without payment. Then you're going to send your coaching agreement, your client information sheet, and your pre-coaching questionnaire. Once they've already set up their first coaching session, and you want that back, you ask for it back 24 hours before your session.
Okay.
Then, once you've started coaching, you can use the client goal sheet. You can use that at any time in a coaching engagement, and you can introduce the client prep form anytime in your coaching engagement.
Okay.
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 So to use this, you'll get the zip file, create your own folders on your computer, name them appropriately. You'll probably want to brand them with your own branding. And you can print out that previous slide, print it out, stick it on the front of that folder. So the next time you get a new client, you know exactly where you are in the process.
So if you have someone that, like, sort of talk about this process, you have someone who's gone on your website and they've purchased like a package ahead of time. So they've purchased it ahead of time before sort of chatting with you or even doing a consultation conversation. Do you still do a consultation with them before you start their package, or
nope,
you just
I don't.
jump right in? Okay.
I just jump right in. I treat them, okay, you've made a decision. There's something on my website or something that, you feel this is going to help you. Let's just get started.
Okay.
No different than when you did the Groupon thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Not everybody is a perfect match.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
You can still coach them to the best of your ability, and they will still get a lot of benefit.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Next little bit. What do you do about your very first coaching session? I don't know how much you have, already figured this out. So I'll sort of tell you my way, and then take what you know, what you plan, and then you can move forward. Okay. So for me, the biggest thing that I know about a new client is that they are a bundle of everything when they start. They have a challenge that they want to overcome. They are excited. They're scared. They're worried. They're worried that maybe they're too far broken, or that you've never met anybody that's as broken or weird as them. And they're hopeful and then scared to be hopeful. Nobody comes to coaching the first time without a bundle of emotions.
Yeah.
And they're also courageous enough to have taken the step. So when you're thinking about your very first coaching call, think about where they're at and helping them to feel as comfortable as possible. Okay. Honestly, my goal, so you're going to decide your goal for the first coaching call or calls. Some people have very long coaching calls, like the very first one, a discovery call, and they do all kinds of stuff. They talk about saboteur, inner critic, inner mentor, values, life purpose, goals. They go into this huge long thing. But for me, the first coaching call is to get the client comfortable so that they can relax enough so they can start to be coached.
Yeah.
So they're not scared to pick up the call the next time we meet. So when I first started, what I was trained to do was have a 2-hour initial conversation where we went through like so much stuff. And I was so exhausted doing it that I thought, if I'm so exhausted, how is this helping them? Like, can they even take it all in, right?
Yeah.
So much coaching lingo. All they want to do is feel a little less stuck, and you're on your life purpose and all their top values and, like all these things, right? And I just thought, oh, forget it. I'm not doing that. So you will decide your goal. My goal, like I said, is I want people to feel comfortable. I always want to know how they're feeling at the start of the call. And at and they'll say, I'm okay, or whatever, right? They always do. And they're not, most people that come to coaching for the first time are not used to sorting through their emotions. So they may think that they're okay. They may think that they're terrified when they're actually excited. They don't know. They don't have emotional vocabulary well, right? And then at some point in the call, they'll start to feel more comfortable. They'll start to giggle a little bit. And then my goal, again, is to point out, it sounds like you're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. Like I want them to know that they were nervous and now they're getting more comfortable. Because that means that the next time they want to come onto the call, they're going to remember the more comfortable, not the nervousness. They're going to remember the transition from being nervous to becoming comfortable.
Yeah, that makes it, because I think it's quite interesting because it's easy to flood people with information, but if they don't trust you and they don't feel like there's some sort of there's some comfortability, they'll just show up not real or sort of half scared. And yeah, I can see that.
Exactly. And also their brain will, like you said, so much content, their brain will shut down. And this is something that I struggle with. I give too much content and it's overwhelming. And so I'm learning how to, just a few things. That's all. That's all they need.
Yeah.
Just because you've got so much life experience and so much knowledge and so much coaching skills, know that treat that first call like it is the first call of a very long relationship.
Yeah.
They don't need to know their life purpose right now. They may not need to know their life purpose for quite a while. They may not even care. And you won't know that until you've coached them for a while. Not everybody is a 10-year-old who goes, I wonder what my purpose is on life. Not everybody is that kind of person. Right? So.
And this call, Candy, the coaching calls are the first, not the sort of 30-minute sample session.
This is after. So now you've got a new client. You've done your sample session.
Yep.
You've done they've got all the paperwork. They filled in the questionnaire. And now this is your very first official coaching call.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So it's the foundation. You choose 2 or 3 goals that you want to accomplish during that first coaching call. I've got a list of ones that you could use it for a beginning of an inspiration thought for yourself.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, but I cannot tell you the number of new coaches, and I was one of them too. Like, your life has been changed because of coaching, and you want to just give it all to them. You want to knock their socks off with the most amazing coaching session right off the bat. You want them to go from, mousy to super mouse and have a complete transformation in their first session, right? That's what you want for them. And it doesn't matter what you want for them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's always for, new coaches want that from a really caring place. But if you scare the crap out of them, they will pull back. they will build a wall, or they'll just
Yeah.
stop showing up.
Yeah. Well, I think too is that in my experience doing the work I've done is connection is key. Without connection, you can't influence. And by influence, I don't mean making them do things,
Yeah.
but by being influential.
Yeah. So that they can hear you.
Yep. Yeah. That's been my experience.
Yeah.
People I've connected, because I remember our first session and feeling very relaxed by the end. And my husband saying, I was surprised by how honest you were, is what he said to me. Because typically I'm not as open as I was, but I felt instantly comfortable. I didn't feel pressured. Because had I could have just put on my mask and done the whole session and pretended that I was actually revealing things, and not at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been very easy for me to do that. So I have my own experience, so I understand.
Right?
Yeah.
And think about what you learned as a client in that first call to have the courage to do that. Mm-hmm. You went against your normal way of behavior. So whether the right coaching questions came up or anything, you learned that you could show up in a coaching conversation without that mask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you learned nothing else and we had never, ever coached again, that would have planted a seed in your mind about how you could show up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I just remember being such a relief of just being able, like, there's actual, like, a glimmer of hope. And that I was starting the beginning of having some trust to allow that process to play out. So a lot of that makes sense about not overwhelming people and making them feel comfortable. Like, that was something that really, it really resonated with me. And I hope I can have that same type of relationship with my clients, where there's some comfort and not pretending or like protection and being afraid. I'm sure they'll be afraid. People are afraid. And I remember being afraid of some of the things we're talking about, but I was never afraid of you.
Oh, interesting. Thank you.
Right. I was never afraid of saying anything. I was like, some of the stuff was like, ooh, that's like overwhelming, but I was never afraid of having the conversation. That makes sense.
Yeah. And because you're a strong connector anyway, I think that this is a place where you'll really be able to leverage.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So start simple, start slow, and really with that idea of this is the first conversation in a very long relationship. Lots of clients, they'll be finished with your, 4-session, 6-session package, and you may not hear from them for a year, and then all of a sudden they'll come back again. So done is never totally done, is my experience. So here's I've got 2 sheets of things, goals, okay, that you can, kind of figure out which one's good for you. So nurture trust with open communication. And that's, a place where you get to show up a little bit vulnerably in that first call too. So they go, oh, wait a minute, this is a real conversation. Explain and demonstrate the power of coaching. And I would say with a little caveat of coaching light. I wouldn't get into the where do you feel that in your body, and let's move through some big emotions, and I wouldn't go there. People, not everybody has an emotional vocabulary, and emotions are pretty overwhelming, and as a culture we are very not accepting of emotions. Emotions are something to be afraid of. Be welcoming. And D and E kind of go together. Help them to understand just a little bit about exactly where they are right now. And a little bit about where they would like to go. So that place of hope, what would it be like at the end of your first coaching call for them to get that glimmer of hope? More on comfort. Decide on some very, very basic goals. Maybe one, maybe depends on the person. I will often just spend time reviewing that pre-coaching questionnaire, and I use that as my topic for a little bit of light coaching.
Okay.
Okay. You can do the wheel of life as a baseline. You
Mm-hmm.
may have done it in a sample session. You
Mm-hmm.
can do it from a slightly different perspective in your first coaching session. Because now you're not going to say, let's see what would happen if you moved your level of satisfaction in the family and friends area from a 3 to a 4. You want to talk about more of their life as a whole, and more of an understanding about how, if that area of their life improved, can they see the benefit in all the other areas of their life?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
Set up a regular schedule for your dates and times for upcoming calls.
Mm-hmm.
And I always explain something to do with accountability and homework. And no matter what, I haven't put it on here, but I always talk about confidentiality very specifically in that first call. And I talk about accountability with a real focus on, you will have homework to do. During each of our coaching sessions, you will have things to take away. I call it homework, but I want you to know that it's what you're learning and practicing is more important than whether you did it. Mm-hmm. And I'm very clear, because it's going to happen. What happens when you took away some homework to do and you didn't do it, and you're coming to your next call, and I'm going to ask you how it went. I don't want them feeling scared when they say they didn't do it. I don't want them feeling like, it's okay, I'm just going to postpone that call because I haven't done that homework. I want them to know that I don't care personally about the task. I care about them and what they learned. And sometimes the learning is in the not doing. Mm-hmm. So that's something I always talk about as well. So this is just a structure that you can start with. So I would recommend that you kind of review those goals and then decide what are your 2 or 3 goals that you want. And you could even start your first coaching session by sharing your goals with them. Mm-hmm. You could. You could say, we're going to review your pre-coaching questionnaire. I want you to get a little bit more comfortable with me and what coaching is. And I want you to, we're going to make sure that we've set up your next coaching calls. And we'll do a little bit of coaching so you'll feeling like you're making some progress already. You might just say, it might just be like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So sample structure. Tell them you're excited to work with them. Welcome them. Ask them how they're feeling. This is where they will tell you they're fine. Explain what coaching is. So the reason that I do this, I explain again what coaching is they might have heard it when we did the sample session. So hearing it is one thing, understanding it is another thing. Lots of times you got to repeat something for a while before people really understand it. So I explain what it is. And then you see number 6 says a little bit of light coaching around the questionnaire. Mm-hmm. I always will do a little bit of that light coaching, might be 5 minutes, might be 10 minutes. And then I'll say, remember when I explained to you what coaching is? Now you have a feel for it. That was a little bit of what coaching is. So then they can go, oh, I still have all my arms and legs. I'm not terrified. Mm-hmm. So again, it's tell and demonstrate, and then tell them again. So now you've experienced it. Okay, so there's that cycle there. Ask them again, why do they want to coach? Now that they've done that pre-coaching questionnaire, they might be at a slightly different part of that topic. I review the questionnaire in detail. I don't go through it necessarily line by line. I go through it beforehand, and I find a couple places that I'm like, that's interesting. That's interesting. And I really touch more on those places. I talk about what homework is and what happens the next time. I'll ask you how it went. You'll definitely have things to take away. And the reason for that is because all the stuff that you're learning in the session, where you're really cementing it and integrating it, is in between the session. We're only going to talk for an hour, and you've got 7 days minus 1 hour to put it into practice. And that's where it really is important. I make sure they have an accountability, small one even. And then I mirror back to them when I start to feel them relaxing.
Okay.
It looks like you're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. Is there any other questions that you had for me now that, you're starting to know what it's like to be in a coaching call?
Okay.
And then I schedule the next coaching call. And at the end, I'm very repetitive about this stuff. The words aren't the same, but the intent is the same. At the end, we talk with my intent is to remind them that they started out feeling a little unsure and nervous, maybe, and now they have a better sense of what coaching is like. They have an accountability to take away, and they're not feeling so nervous anymore. That's it. Okay. But they've experienced coaching.
Yeah. That's good.
Questions?
And so for this first coaching session, because one thing I'm interested in is how you, are they telling you what topic they want to speak on at each session? Or is it you're sort of rolling with what you sort of, where you've already sort of been working on, that they've sort of indicated in their questionnaire? Does that make sense?
So you mean in future sessions?
Yes. Yeah.
So how do I know what to coach on in future sessions?
Yeah. Are you sort of following what they mentioned in the questionnaire and sort of building on that? But sometimes I'm assuming people come in with, maybe something else has happened and it's sort of taking them away from their original. You sort of go where they want to go.
I always go where they want to go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you may not remember this, but I will always say to you, and so what do you want to talk about today?
Yeah.
What's your topic? That's what is your topic. And sometimes your topic is more of what we talked about last time, more of what you're learning from your accountability. Sometimes people say, I don't know. And then I might go back to the pre-coaching questionnaire. Rarely. I usually will, because I think of this as an evolutionary process, I'll usually more go back to the accountability and what they're learning through the accountability.
Okay.
I'll say, so maybe you practiced that uncomfortable conversation. What are you learning now about yourself? Honestly, I can make a topic out of frickin' anything.
Yeah.
Right? Anytime you ask a question where you're getting people to get a new perspective on themselves and learning a new way of handling their life and appreciating themselves, then you're ready to go. Remember also, you've got your coaching package. So you know the main topics that eventually, at the right time, you want to have talked to. So have you talked about self-care yet? And you hear them and they say, oh, it's been a tough week. There's your opening to talk about self-care. Or, well, I meant to, but so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. Okay, well, now is a great time to talk about personal responsibility. So sometimes they don't have a specific topic, but in conversation, okay, I got these 10 things that they would benefit from learning about. The voice of their inner critic, the person who can never quite getting around to doing that courageous act. Okay, well, now it's time to hear about the voice of their inner critic, so that they know that they're not a freak of nature, that they don't think that they're the only one that doesn't have the courage to do that difficult thing. They understand that they're in good company. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah, no, it's helpful. That's good. That's very good. Thank you.
So that's it. That's it for today.
Oh, that's perfect. No, it's good. Good timing. Oh,
I got one more thing, but
okay.
This is in response to your how do you stay undistracted?
Yeah.
Okay. So power of daily action. Small steps every day. It's so unsexy, but it so works. Do something little every single day. Choose 3 important things every day. Do 3 things towards growing your business. I've got a little checklist that I'll send you. It looks like this. So Sunday night, what are my 3 things that I really want to do on Monday? That are the most important things for my business. And then keep this out and you put a little check for every one that you do. Date it at the top. Keep these in a folder. And then this will be this is how I use this, is that it reminds me of how much progress I've already made.
Yeah.
Those days when you're, oh my God, I don't think I've been working at this for a month and I don't really feel like I'm getting anywhere. Well, now you've got 4 sheets. You go, that's right. I prepared and I gave that talk and I, phoned these 3 people and I wrote this and I followed up here and I learned more about doing Instagram stories and I started doing them.
Yeah.
So really important.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Well, I think, No, keep going. Yeah.
So when you're thinking about your quarterly business goal,
yeah,
you think, okay, this quarter I want 5 paying clients. That means I need 2 paying clients each and every month. So on my to-do list, I'm thinking of those 2 paying clients. To have 2 paying clients, I need to have my welcome package ready to go. I need to have contacted however many people to do this many sample sessions. I need to have done these things.
Yeah.
Well, those are forming your most important things to do.
Yeah, that's where I'm sort of a bit like in the weeds. Is like there's so much to do that my mind, it feels like there's so much to do. And because I'm not a naturally organized person, that's when I get most overwhelmed, is when I'm not sure what the next step is.
Yeah.
When it comes to very detailed type of work. Less so with people, more so with like the welcome package or getting the Instagram scheduled. And I can, that's where I have to work the hardest. We'll need to, because that's where I'm most weakest. And it's not like a new thing. I've known I'm not the most organized and I've always been able to create systems. I've just struggled in starting something here of coming up with a system. That's where I've like struggled a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it worthwhile to spend a few minutes and actually take your quarterly goal and create your action plan? Do you want to do that? I'm happy to do that together with you. Because
can I do it and then send it to you and get your feedback?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that'd be great.
And now here's what I would recommend. I have this, if you go and download yourself, I will show you, hopefully it'll show up okay. So let me just unshare my screen here. Stop share, that's what I want. Okay, so what I do is I go on to Excel because I'm an Excel nut for some weird reason. And I will download my, a calendar template. So I use that 3 thing a day, but I also do this. So like, here's my December. And I know like right now I've finished recording all this stuff for the course that is the digital version of what you and I have done, right? So this was my schedule for myself, that I know that I need to have, in this case I had to have my course freebie finalized on December the 7th. So that meant that I needed to be working on it this week. I needed to be proofing it here. I needed to work on, finalizing it here. I needed to write it here. I needed to have my rough draft there.
Yeah.
So if I know this happens to be a little bit more than a quarter, because this is a project base. So if you go and you print yourself off a couple of these calendars and you think, okay, this is where what I want to do for a quarter. Okay. Maybe at the end of the quarter, I want 6 paying clients. And I want a freebie on my website. And I want to be comfortable doing Instagram stories. That's my 3 goals for the quarter. What do I need to do for those things? So let's talk about your client goal first. Client goal says, I have to have my welcome paperwork ready to go and easily accessible. What do I need to do to make that happen? Then you want that before you start getting clients, right? So maybe this is January, and maybe you're going to devote 1 week to getting all your welcome paperwork all done. And by Saturday, you know that welcome paperwork is ready to go. Now, I want to have 6 paying clients for a quarter. That means I need 2 paying clients each month. If I want 2 paying clients each month, I need to have scheduled 10 sample sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to make phone calls or whatever, Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I need to schedule sample sessions. I'm going to do sample sessions Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You're going to put those handwrite all these things in on a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what you're doing is you're creating your own to-do list by looking at the month.
Mm. Yeah.
What action can you take that will make your quarterly goal inevitable?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I got that from Brooke Casillo. She's the most interesting person that I've been listening to.
Oh, from Life School Podcast?
Yeah. She's so funny. She's
really
funny.
good.
Yeah,
she's really good.
And I love that quote. What action can you take that will make your goal inevitable? Well, if you want 6 paying clients, do 60 flippin' sample sessions.
Yeah.
And you're going to have blown your goal out of the water. You're going to be so good at doing sample sessions. And you better have your welcome paperwork ready, because guess what? You do 60 sample sessions and then you regularly ask people for referrals, your business is full. And you don't want to be wasting your time not knowing where your paperwork is. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that help you kind of as you start
that helps.
your quarterly? Okay, good. So next week is our last session.
Yeah.
And I want to also tell you that I am going away on vacation.
Okay.
I leave on the 10th.
Okay.
So I'm happy to talk on the 9th, if that still works for you.
Yes. Yeah, the 9th works.
Okay. And I'm away for just over 2 weeks. So I'm away from the 10th to the 27th. Okay.
Okay. 10th. Okay.
And I've got your questions still. So some of them we've kind of answered a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd like to, next week, we're going to just talk about client relationship management. So remembering to follow up about birthdays and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I would gladly make that call kind of a wrap-up call. You know, like where are you right now? I'm just I'm staring out the window because I'm formulating my notes at the same time, right? So where are you right now? And are there pieces of the puzzle that you know you've got the pieces, but you're not quite sure how they're going to fit together? Mm-hmm. And I'd love to see you with a completed quarterly goals ready. Mm-hmm. And so if you know that the end of March, this is where you're going to be at. And we'll have, 3 months worth of calendar ready to go. Mm-hmm. You can even have a bunch of these weekly to-do sheets already done. Mm-hmm. So you know that for the month of January, every day I'm going to do those 3 things. Yes, I want to do more, but I'm going to get those 3 things done. And that will move me to my March 31st quarterly goal. Because that way, then you know that you're like, I feel like you've got, this is my opinion, I feel like you've got more than enough information. Yeah. And I think that there's a very fine line between getting too adept at taking information in and then almost getting overwhelmed because now you got so much information and I need to do something with it. Mm-hmm. So let's make sure that for your first quarter for 2019, you've got a plan. You've got all the information. You've done a ton of the work. Let's make sure you get use of all that information. Mm-hmm. And I'd way prefer to spend more time doing that than less, that's more personalized and less time on when to follow up with people and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because as we're talking, and we're talking about like getting things organized, the finances, I sort of looked at the finances and sort of like left it alone and drifted away from it. Mm-hmm. And I think deep down part of the disorganization and confusion there's the benefit for me there is, and then I never really get to the real part of, or not the real part, but the most important in my business at this point, which is talking to people. Right. That's where I'm the strongest, and that's how I'm going to get more clients. But by being disorganized and not having systems, I can spend a lot of energy there and be like, oh, I'm just too tired to talk to people now.
Yeah.
And there's like a benefit of like that fear of like, well, like I'm not talking to anyone, and so there's no rejection or whatever.
Yeah.
I can feel there's a that's where the benefit is. It's not a benefit like a good one, but it's sort of like the fear. That's the benefit of sort of staying disorganized and unplanned.
Oh, totally. So is that give a start on your quarterly goal? Like if you have goals that you want to get going, next time we'll flesh it out.
Okay.
So this is what you want to achieve. You'll have some thoughts about where you're at and where you want to get to. And then, at the end of the next call, you'll have 3 months worth of, okay, that means the week that ends January 19th, I have got to, by the end of that week, have this done.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. No, it's really helpful.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get organized.
We'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
Send me more questions if you got them.
All right. Thanks, Caddy.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.